Czerniewicz. I'm a Professor Emerita at the University of Cape Town, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about a book we have published this week, Open Access. And so there are three parts to what I want to talk about. The first is the book, the second is why open access, and then the third point is that open access publishing is not all the same. So let's get going. The book, as you can see, is a book called Higher Education for Good, and it arose from discussions between my co-editor and myself, Catherine Cronin from Ireland, where we were mulling on the dire state of higher education everywhere, really concerned that there was so little opportunity for alternatives, for imagination, and for hope. And 2 years ago, we set out to call upon and provide opportunities for academics and professionals in higher education everywhere to think about something positive, something different, something imaginative for higher education. And this extraordinary book with authors, over 70 authors from almost 20 countries, is testament to a wide range of ideas, theoretical, practical, lived, imagined, which I think is going to prove inspirational. And Catherine and I are really excited and incredibly delighted to have worked with such an extraordinary range of authors and reviewers, I must say. If we add reviewers, we have many more countries. So this is what the book's about, but here we are, it's Open Access Week. And why was it so important to us that the book should be published open access? I suppose in some ways it's obvious. This is a set of ideas that needs to be available to everyone. And without paying, without gatekeeping, without firewalls, without paywalls, everyone needs to be able to join this community of hope and of imagination and of alternatives. So it's very simple. Everyone, there should be no exclusion in terms of readership. But the really important thing for us was also that there should be no exclusion in terms of authorship, because what we've seen happening over the last few years is a kind of takeover of open access, where the exclusion has moved from readership to writership. And with a publishing model that has become fairly dominant of paying to publish, we've seen new forms of divides. And it's clearly the case that in order to ensure that all voices are heard, different voices are heard, there should be no barriers to participation. And this is the third really important point that I'd like to make, and that Catherine and I feel very strongly about, is that it's important to publish with an open access publisher who has no barriers to participation, but also has a motivation which is about full participation in terms of both readership and writership. And open access publishers are not all the same. The differences, I would say, are whether they profit or non-profit. So the publisher that we've published with and selected in the end and selected us is a non-profit. It's run by academics, and it shares a mission and a set of values. Because the problem with profit-making publishers and the commercialization of academic publishing is that the profit motive and the market decides. And of course, the market is not actually the best decider. What should be the decision maker is the quality and the importance of the knowledge that's being shared. The reason that we are so excited about the publisher we chose is extraordinary transparency, especially around costs, budgets, analytics, sales, profits, etc. And that's really important. And so I think the last thing I would like to say is not all publishers are the same. Not all open access publishers are the same. And I'd really encourage people to look around, to look at open access, DOAJ, open access collectives, and so on. And of course, I'd like to end by hoping that people will find inspiration and hope in our open access book, which is published this week.